I am ready.
All right, give me 1 second here. Something will pop up on the screen. And you're all set. Have a good meeting.
Calling to order the Thursday, June 15, 2023, 7 p.m. meeting of the Scituate Zoning Board of Appeals. The Scituate Zoning Board of Appeals is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there is disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. Please note, the ZBA is meeting both in person and via Zoom. The meeting is being recorded and can be viewed on Scituate Community Television and Facebook Live. The recorded meeting will be available the following day on Comcast Channel 9 and YouTube Scituate Community Television. With that, the first application of Kevin Berry and Kathleen McComb, 165 Thatcher Street, Milton, for relief on the property at 26 Newport Street, Scituate, Mass, has, if I recall correctly, been withdrawn. Is that correct? Okay, so with that, we will move to the second application, the application of Near Drury Beach Boy Realty Trust, 117 Lyman Road, Chestnut Hill, requesting a special permit finding in accordance with NGL Chapter 48, Section 6, Sections 810.1, 810.2, and 470.6F of the Scituate zoning bylaws, and or any other relief the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the reconstruction of two single-family dwellings located at 74 Glades Road and 74C Glades Road, which were destroyed by fire, and to allow the continued non-conforming use of the property, which is occupied by two single-family dwellings.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the record, my name is Gregory Morris. I'm a registered engineer with Morris Engineering. With me tonight is the applicant, Near Drury, who's directly behind me with his wife. We're here, as was just read into the record, for a 48 Section 6 finding in special permits in accordance with Section 810.1, 810.2, and 470.6F of the bylaw.
Yep.
This property is located at 74 and 74C Glades Road. It is one property. It does contain two separate homes on it. Both homes were destroyed by fire all the way to the ground at this point. Property is located in the R3 zoning district. The nonconformities here include the front yard setback, the lot width, the side yard setbacks. Neither building conformed with current FEMA standards. Number 74 was built in 1873. Number 74C was built in 1978. The proposal here is to construct two new dwellings, largely in the same locations. I've depicted those on the plan here. They would be fully FEMA compliant, constructed on pile foundations, which should satisfy the requirements for the special permit under 470.6F. The work does not create any new nonconformities. The setbacks for the side yard are greater in all cases. The setback to the front yard for 74C, which is the building at the bottom left on the screen there, does get slightly closer to Town Way, which we're taking our frontage off of. Where it existed was at 6.5 feet off of Town Way. Where it's proposed is 4 feet off of Town Way. Again, it's a pre-existing non-conforming setback. I felt that would be a de minimis change. Both buildings are larger in size. They are proposed at 2.5 stories. 74 would total out at 4,200 square feet, which represents a 90.6% increase. Number 74C would come in at 1,290 square feet, which represents a 158.5% increase. Setbacks, again, are maintained or greater in all cases, with that one exception that I mentioned to you. Fully FEMA compliant foundations. And the relief under 810.1 is with respect to the use, which is that there are two single family homes on one lot historically, and that would provide that relief. Turn it over to you.
Thank you. I do have some clarifications, right? According to the zoning chart and the latest plan dated 6/15/23, when you refer to 74C, front yard setback at 6.5 feet becoming 4 feet, both on the zoning chart submitted and on the plan it shows at 3.2.
Yes, the plan view depicts it at 4.4 is the correct answer.
Okay.
So change the chart.
Change the chart from 3.2 to 4.
Okay, because it propagates, that information propagates through the plan, so it's appreciated. Are all the other set-offs in, at least with respect to the plan and the chart section of the plan, are those correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you. So it's important. Board questions at this point, but I want to go to Bob in a second if you want to. We can do.
No, nothing specific, just pending approval and updated with the correct numbers on it.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to update the plan, the plan is correct, it's just the chart number is correct. Bob, before we go to the community on this. Bob, anything on this?
No, not really on the plan of it. I think that it's by and large, the buildings are certainly going to be more, have more mass and sort of scope to them than they did, but the setbacks, I think, are, done as well as they could be to replicate basically what was there, and improve it. Anytime an exterior wall is less than 5 feet from a property line, which happens in a few cases here.
Yep.
It needs to be constructed of fireproof materials. There's particular construction systems that achieve that. And the window area is limited to 25% of that wall. But I'm sure when we see the drawings coming in for a building permit, that those regulations will be adhered to.
Let's turn it over to the folks in the room. Any questions? Comments? Right. Yes, name and address for the record.
Yeah, Robert Tremblay, I live at 71 Glades, Bergman Street. Just want to say that we support all our neighbors in rebuilding after this.
Thank you.
I guess the only question I would have is the increases in size, 90% increase.
Yeah.
Is that in conform with the prior non-conforming law?
So, I can answer, Leo Drawing, 74 Glades Road and 74C. Most of the increased space that you guys see is the use of the attic space, and that's most of it. So, I think that's any more detrimental. The footprint is pretty much the same. We're really just trying to rebuild what we lost in the fire. And I think
What I will note for the community.
I'm sorry. And we comply with the height, yeah, absolutely. So there is height restriction and we comply with the height restriction, with the new building code.
Yeah, what I was gonna note is the building heights in the R3 zoning district are limited to 3 stories.
Yeah.
These two buildings will be 2.5 stories
Correct.
tall, so they're lower than the maximum height allowable. And they appear to be, as Bob said, more or less on the same footprint that pre-existed. That's just an observation, but, ma'am, yes, name and address for the record.
Yes, Annette Bransford, 68 Glades Road. Our warehouse was extensively damaged, and so we're in the process of repair, but I would say the work that I've seen near Drew on his property, beautiful work before. The other neighbors there, beautiful work, so we're in support of these people being able to rebuild.
Thank you. We love when we hear positive comments from the community. Janine, anybody online that
I
wants to
don't
comment?
see anybody with a raised hand.
Okay. Board? One last time for Bob, we're good?
Right, I'm glad you mentioned the height restriction, which is gonna be again here too, and that's an important criterion, even though these buildings will, if you will, start several feet above the ground because they're needing to be elevated for FEMA regulation purposes. The maximum height from the grade to the ridge doesn't change, it doesn't allow that height to be increased.
You're not right, so that people often don't realize that you can't just stack a house on the pylon, right? It's the whole total height.
The only time you get relief from that is if you're raising an existing house without changing it.
Right.
In this case, that would not,
That's not the case.
that's not the case, right?
Okay. In that case, I will make a motion with respect to the application for special permit for 74 Glades Road and 74C Glades Road. I will make a motion that the relief be granted and that we approve the plan by Morse Engineering dated 6/15/2023, and that the board find that the plan, the rebuild as proposed, raises no new nonconformities, and to the extent it intensifies any existing nonconformities, such intensification is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you,
That's that's approved. Okay. Now on to the third application of Burke Development, 23 Fairview Avenue, Scituate, Mass, requesting a modification of the special permit finding approved on April 20th, 2023. MGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 8.2C of the Scituate zoning bylaw, and any other relief that the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the raising and construction of a pre-existing non-conforming structure to be located at 12 Old Country Way. Gross floor area by more than 20%. Hello.
Good evening. I'm Walter Sullivan, the attorney for the applicant for the record, and with me is Dan Burke, the applicant and owner of the property, and the project engineer, Greg Morris. As the chair indicated in the reading of the notice, we were here back on April 20th seeking the identical relief. It was noted in the review of the minutes that we hadn't really touched upon the change in the covered area in the draft decision or in the meeting, although it was on the plan. There's going to be a net decrease in the impervious land surface in the Water Resource Protection District, which is indicated on the original plan that the board has. While there is going to be a slight increase in the impervious front yard area, it is de minimis. And we'd be happy to talk to it in detail, but I think we did sort of go over most of the issues back in April 20th.
So this appears, again, we seem to have a net reduction overall in impervious area by approximately 75 square feet, right? So we're not really increasing, we're decreasing it slightly. In the front, we have a bit of an increase. The problem here being that the 20 or 25% max, depending on which portion of the bylaw you look at, or the 2,500 square foot maximum, right, a little greater of the two, the building was greater than that and it continues to be greater than that. So just so that we are clear on this issue. So thank you for that. We understand what the plan says. Board, specific questions. In this case
got kicked back from planning board.
Right, well, it was mentioned by planning board that they needed, this was not addressed in the hearing, right? We didn't specifically mention it, although it is in the plan. And they want it to be considered by the zoning board as part of the overall approval, which it is within our purview to do.
I don't have anything specific to this. I'd like to hear just.
Yep, we'll go, yes, we'll make sure that we get that. We're gonna hit the inside of the room and then we'll go online. Questions, comments?
No, not really, only that I think there is a precedent for this in the recent board decision about 7 new direct line. You know, it's important that the resulting conditions after the project is complete actually are an improvement on the existing conditions. And I would say, aside from the small reduction in impervious area, be a stormwater management system which doesn't exist on the site now, which will further reduce the impact on the zone A.
Right, so that's, it shouldn't be lost on us, that, I mean, on top of sort of the small net positive change in a good way, which is positive on the impervious area, there is. From the audience here, any comments on this? Thank you. Janine, let's go, I'm sure we have, there he is.
Bruce.
All right, name and address for the record, and
Bruce Arbanese, 23 Gannett Pasture Lane, Chair of the Water Resources Commission.
welcome, Bruce.
Thank you.
Comments?
Yeah, so my question, I think I raised it the last time in April as well. I was wondering if, since this property is in Zone A, the most restricted area, George, you outlined the impervious limitation requirement for that current bylaw. Excuse me. Is there going to be any rain catchment or artificial recharge for this new development or the addition?
There you go. Gentlemen.
Yes. That's the short answer, yes.
Can you describe it, please?
Sure. What we'll be proposing is water quality treatment off of the parking surfaces. So we'll be treating water quality with TSS removal, a deep sump put in catch basin. And then secondly, for infiltration on the site would be subsurface dry wells attached to the roof leaders.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce, as always. Janine, anybody else? Okay. So I think with that, board, any other questions? I think with that, I'm going to make a motion. I'll make a motion that we again reapprove the plan, and again, I think this is the latest plan. Reapprove the special permit for 12 Old Country Way on the plan by Morse Engineering, dated 3/14/23 as revised 4/13/23. That's the last one. Yes.
More chapter and verse, or what else besides intention?
Well, I think we'll reapprove it as we did last time, right? And having considered the impervious lot coverage and the stormwater management system, I think we find that there are no new nonconformities, and to the extent this intensifies any existing nonconformities, such intensification is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, and that we approve it in light of the impervious lot coverage and the stormwater management plan as set forth both in this plan and as represented by the applicant. All those in favor? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I think we're good, gentlemen. You're drafting, right?
I will, I'll get
So
that.
just a couple sentences, right, reference in, but I think we're good. I think, you know, the reduction and the management plan, I think satisfies, the issue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also think it was important that we address it specifically. Okay, on the fourth application of Matthew and Amanda McCarthy, 31 Roses Lane, Scituate, Mass. 02066, requesting a modification of the special permit finding approved on February 16, 2023, in accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 8.2 of the Scituate zoning bylaw, and or any other relief that the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the construction of an accessory structure on a pre-existing non-conforming lot located at 31 Roses Lane, Scituate, Mass., and increasing the gross floor area by more than 20%. One more time, sir.
Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the applicant and property owner, Matthew and Amanda McCarthy. As was just read into the record, this is a modification of an existing special permit, properties at 31 Roses Lane. We had filed with you originally seeking the special permit to allow construction of an accessory building on the property. That permit was granted by this board. However, the location of that building has changed as a result of our meetings with the Conservation Commission. This site is located in the R2 zoning district. Its only nonconformity is the frontage on Roses Lane. The frontage is 45 feet. The existing home here fully complies with all zoning requirements, setbacks. The proposed accessory structure complies with all zoning setbacks. We have not changed the dimensions of it, the floor area. It's the same structure, it's just been moved from the north side of the house to the south side of the house. It does not create any nonconformities in any way.
Right, so the only just to be clear for everybody here and online, the only nonconformity is a function of the lot.
Correct.
Thank you. Board. Nothing. Bob,
No, nothing.
folks in the room. Folks online. Okay, so I will move the board approve the special permit for the addition of accessory dwelling at 31 Roses Lane pursuant to the plan by Morse Engineering dated 3/6/2023 as revised 5/1/2023. Yes, just confirming. And that said accessory dwelling will introduce no new nonconformities. And to the extent it intensifies any existing nonconformities, those will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Second.
Question to the board before you vote.
Yes.
Is it an accessory structure or an accessory?
I am sorry, you are correct. It is an accessory
Two different
structure.
things.
It's not an accessory dwelling. It's an
You are
accessory structure.
correct, and that was, I misspoke. Thank you, Bob. The accessory structure. We will make it clear. So we have it seconded. All those in favor? Aye. So, thank you.
Thank you.
That application. Okay, we are off to the fifth application of Horace and Emily Jaka, 72 Glades Road, Scituate, Mass., requesting a special permit finding in accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Sections 810.2 and 470.6F of the Scituate zoning bylaw, and or any other relief that the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the reconstruction of a single-family dwelling located at 72 Glades Road, Scituate, which was destroyed by fire.
Again, for the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the property owner, as was just read into the record. This is a special permit in accordance with 810.2 of the bylaw and 470.6F of the bylaw to allow the raise and rebuild of the home at 72 Glades Road. The home was destroyed by fire. It is located in the R3 zoning district. The nonconformities at the home are with respect to the frontage of the lot existing at 0, the area of the lot at 7,136, where 10,000 square feet is the requirement, the lot width of 35.73 feet, where 100 is the requirement, the front yard setback at 15.5 feet, where 30 is the requirement, in the side yard setbacks at 3.7 and 2.8 feet, where 8 feet is the requirement. I'd add that this home was constructed in 1920 and is not compliant with FEMA standards. The proposal here is to construct a new home largely in the same location. It would be constructed on a new timber pile foundation. It would be fully FEMA compliant. There are no new nonconformities created. All of the setbacks to the front yard and the side yard are proposed at greater setbacks than what existed pre-fire. It is proposed as a 2.5-story house. It is an increase in floor area. The existing home was 2,298 square feet. The proposal brings it to 3,590. It represents a 56% increase. Again, we're not creating any new nonconformities. The setbacks are proposed at equal or greater setbacks than what existed prior to the fire. And it is a fully FEMA compliant structure. Turn it over to you.
And then from a FEMA standpoint, part of this is in the AE, and part of it's in the DE flood zone, right?
Yes. We'll have to comply with the more stringent of those, which is the velocity zone.
Right.
The DE.
Okay. And the reason this has a 0 frontage is because we have stacked lots, if I'm understanding correctly. I was trying to read this, right? One behind the other. Yeah, that's a lot, and really the access, so the,
74C is here.
right, so the access to the home is via this 8-foot wide way, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, just to, understand. Okay. There's some older pictures that give us the view. Board questions on this one? Okay. Bob?
No, really, same comments that we made on 74 and 74C in terms of the construction. Both the north and south walls are closer than 5 feet to the property line, so those constraints will apply. Height, same thing.
I do know that the side yard setbacks are improved. So that's good, it's not perfect, but it's better. Anything from the folks in the room? No. Anything from the folks online? Excellent.
I just want to say again, just for the record, Robert Trumbull, 71 Glades Road, that as with the Drury's, we fully support as neighbors, county boards to do this.
Thank you. Again, it's we're all generally in support of folks rebuilding their homes, especially after this horrible tragedy. All right, on that note, I will move that the application for a special permit in accordance with NGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Sections 810.2 and 470.6F of the Scituate zoning bylaw to allow the reconstruction of a single-family dwelling located at 72 Glades Road, Scituate, Mass. 02066, pursuant to the plan by Morse Engineering dated 5/17/2023. Is that correct?
5/18.
5/18, I have the 5/17 on the plan. That's why I want to be out.
Third move it.
Yep, 5/17. That special permit be granted and that the board find that the proposed reconstruction does not introduce any new nonconformities, and to the extent it intensifies any existing nonconformities, those nonconformities are not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, granted. Thank you. Okay. Two Glades Road. All right. Okay, so sixth application, Plunkett Family Living Trust, 60 Long Meadow Road, Milton, Mass, requesting special permit finding in accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 810.2 and 470.6F of the Scituate zoning bylaw, and/or any other relief the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the reconstruction of a single-family dwelling located at 70 Blaze Road, Scituate, Mass, 02166, which was destroyed by fire. One more.
For the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering. We're here seeking the same relief that was just granted on the property next door. This is at 70 Glades Road. Again, the home was destroyed by fire. It's located in the R3 zoning district. At this property, the nonconformities are the lot area at 4,644 square feet. The frontage on Glades Road at 41.57 feet. The lot width of 41.57 feet. And the side yard setbacks. The property encroaches on the left-hand side over the lot line, and on the right-hand side, it had a 5.7 foot setback. The home is listed as being built in 1900. It is non-compliant with FEMA standards. The proposal here is to construct a 2.5-story home. It would be on a timber pile foundation. It proposes setbacks that are greater than existing or maintaining existing on all sides. It fixes the encroachment where there was an encroachment. We're pulling the building back to a 6-foot setback on that left-hand side. It does represent an increase in the floor area. The existing home is approximately 1,354 square feet. The proposal is 3,160. It represents a 133% increase. It's 2.5 stories. It would comply with height requirements. Turn it over to you.
Board.
Good.
Yeah, this one's a nice situation on the lot. Yeah, that's good. Bob?
Nothing, really, except, the comments that we made on height. In this case, there'll be no restriction on the exterior wall construction.
Right.
More than 5 feet from the line. I'm curious, Greg, on the dimensions you've given for the sidelines, is that from the street to the seawall? Is that 105, 80, and 119?
Which dimension?
The side lot line dimensions here. It looks like that's.
Oh, to the back here?
That's to the
That's to-
seawall, I would think.
That's to mean low water.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, then, all right. Not that it makes any difference.
Be the only one that does that.
Well, that's the measurement, right? And there's still plenty of room.
Yeah, it doesn't affect
Yeah,
anything.
there's still plenty of room. even
Simply
if you-
curiosity.
Folks in the room. Yes, ma'am.
Ned Radsrich, 68 Glades Road.
Yeah.
We've been neighbors of the Plunketts for years and we support their rebuild.
Thank you. Anybody else here? Terrific. Anybody online? This is all very straightforward. Thank you, Mr. Morse. And this one is particularly, I think, easy. So I will make a motion that on the application of the Plunkett Family Living Trust, 60 Long Meadow Road, Milton, for a special permit finding in accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 610.2 and 476.f Scituate zoning bylaw, and/or any other relief that the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the reconstruction of a single-family dwelling located at 70 Glades Road, which was destroyed by fire. I move that the board approve the special permit and find pursuant to the plan by Morse Engineering dated 5/18/2023, and that we find that such plan and such reconstruction does not introduce any new nonconformities, and to the extent it intensifies any existing nonconformities, those are not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night.
Long enough.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, folks.
Also, it's just one-
And we have here,
Look forward to seeing the plans.
good luck, folks. Fingers crossed. Folks, we still have one, please.
Thanks so much for the night.
All right, we will be moving on to the final. Excuse me, folks, we still have one more. So we were looking at the, application of Edward N. Fopiano, care of Walter Sullivan, 80 Washington Street, requesting a special permit finding in accordance with NGL chapter 48, section 6. Or in the alternative, a variance in accordance with NGL chapter 48, section 10, and or any other relief the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the raising and reconstruction of pre-existing non-conforming single-family residence with a public deck located at 7.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Walter Sullivan, the attorney for the applicants and owners, Edward Fabiano. We are seeking a special permit for a raise and reconstruct. This property at 7 Milton Street was purchased by the Fabianos on May 30, 2019. It was constructed in 1935. It contains only 1,080 square feet on a 3,180 square foot lot. Obviously a modest home, as the field card indicates, which is part of our package. It had a 1-car garage with 2 rooms under, and it's a 1.5 story cape. As is indicated in the proposed plans, Fabianos are looking to raise and reconstruct and even elevate it so that they can build a 2,500 square foot home consistent with modern standards. It'll obviously be elevated to be compliant with FEMA requirements. This is an R3 zone. Most of the alterations of the setbacks are pretty modest. The front setback, currently 15.2 and is proposed to be 11.6 from the deck, 19.1 from the dwelling. This is all set out on a proposed plan. And the side setbacks are being moderated only by inches. On the west, there's an 8.6 setback, and now it's going to be 8.8 from the dwelling, 5.3 from the deck, where it was 5.5 before. And then 6.6 from the house, and then 5.3 as proposed. So really modest changes. The height is going to change, and this is allowed is 35 feet, and we proposed 36.5. We supplemented the filing with a plan that shows other properties in the district. One which indicates that 2 houses away, the house is a little over 36 feet, so slightly higher than what we proposed. So we would ask for a finding by the board that what is proposed is not substantially more non-conforming than what exists.
Well, okay. Let's talk about that. Board question first. So your alternative to the variance comes down to the fact that you have some existing nonconformities. Some are intensifications, some are improvements, some are non-intensifications. Right, they're just moving some stuff around. And we're looking for an approval, let's call it that, for a height that's above the 35-foot. We are, okay. And hence why this is in the alternative variance. Okay. Bob, you've been doing this much longer than any of us here. I'm familiar with the average setback rule, if you will, right? You're taking measurements and computing an average setback.
Right.
For example, when you don't meet
Front yard setback.
front yard setback, right? You don't meet the front yard setback. requirements. Do we have? I didn't see anything. And I'm sure I missed it. Anything in the zoning bylaws that says we can use such a computation?
No,
Okay.
simple answer. In my opinion, there's no way to change or grant relief
On the 35 foot.
on the 35 feet.
Right.
And furthermore, I think it would be, in my opinion, again, a very bad precedent to set.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's a reason to do this.
That, I think we were all gonna go there. I wanted to hear this from you first, right? To see if there's any, because I'd like to know before we turn it over to anybody else that might be still in the room or online. Why? Why can't this be 35 feet?
Well, and Mr. Fabiano can talk to you. He's worked with his architect for the better part of 2 years to try to make this as compliant as he can, and we've squeezed it down to the proposed 36.5, and I think it's because as we elevate it, it just gets impossible to get the space in.
Well, it's the design, but after hearing everything that went on today, I think we can make 35 feet. We'll just take one floors down a foot.
I would just note too that 3 Milton Street is 36.8.
I don't think that's a significant statement.
Right. No,
Pre-existing.
I appreciate that may be a factual statement.
Well, it's factual and I would.
That's fine, I'm taking that as a factual statement. On this, I completely agree with Bob, whether it's relevant or not for our analysis is in doubt. In fact, I don't think it's relevant, Bob doesn't think it's relevant, I don't know if the other members of the board think it's relevant.
I don't think it's relevant, I don't think it would meet the variance standard.
Correct. I mean, I'm sorry, not correct, I agree. I don't think it would because I don't see that this is an impossible thing where value would be taken. Do we have from the room, I don't see very many people, any comments? No, anybody online, comments?
No.
Okay. May I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
May I suggest that you guys continue this and submit one more set of plans? And that set of plans has us at 35 feet or below.
I think Mr. Fabiano wants me to ask, would it be possible for this board to approve the special permit request onto the setbacks with the understanding there's no relief being granted with height? My guy has to comply with the 35 feet so that we can close the hearing tonight.
We could, we theoretically could. The problem is we can't approve the plan, right? Because the plan says 36, whatever, 36.4. So we can, but again, the plan shows setbacks, right?
That's what I was thinking. If you
Yeah, it
granted
does not
relief
show- it
and
doesn't-
denied it as to height, and he brought it in 35 feet, I think he could go for a building permit.
Bob, how would you feel about that?
Yes, I'd be willing to do that. I don't think it's impossible. It's probably a good idea, in fact, if you write that into the decision. Certainly when we review it for a building permit,
Right.
we'll be aware
Okay.
we will commit it of the requirements.
Okay, well, then,
I'll write it in the decision.
yeah, no, I understand. That's, are you guys comfortable with this?
Yeah, as long as
Because
it's written in the decision that he's gonna resubmit a set of plans and said, complies with 35 and whatnot. That's no need, I don't think there's any need to bring him back.
No, I mean, because the rest of this is very, I think, very
Yeah,
straightforward,
the
right?
setbacks are fine.
The setbacks are fine, the size is fine, you know, it's all fine.
A comment, on your, we can list all the setbacks and whatnot, we go to the grid line only, so to mention the deck setback is irrelevant.
Okay.
Right.
And more than, it's not gonna bear
Yeah,
any kind of.
It's not a covered
Moving
deck,
forward, if you ever come back before us again with something like this, you never need
it's just not
the
necessary.
deck setback,
Right.
unless it is a covered deck.
Okay.
Alright, so I will move that, with respect to Edward Fabiano's application for a special permit finding in accordance with NGL chapter 48, section 6, and or any other relief that the Board of Appeals may grant, we will allow the raising and reconstruct of a pre-existing non-conforming single-family residence and accompanying deck located at 7 Milton Street, pursuant to the plan by Point Land Survey dated March 9, 2023, as revised most recently May 26, 2023, with regard to all the relevant setbacks, with the limitation that the height of the resulting structure will be no higher than 35 feet.
You might want to say as defined by section 620 of the zoning bylaws, it's 35 feet to the point halfway between the eaves and the ridge.
So
Which is a
that's
maximum
defined
of 40.
Defined by section 620 of the zoning bylaws. Assuming that is the case, said structure will introduce no new nonconformities, and to the extent it intensifies any existing nonconformities, those will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Does that make sense? That makes sense.
35 feet.
Right, all right, and then the class essentially. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So please write that up, Mr. Sullivan, in that way. And thank Bob for the area, that's well taken, so everybody knows what we're talking about. That's it.
Thank you very much.
So you're welcome.
Have a good evening.
You too. You as well.
Good. Look forward to it.
Thank you, Janine.
Take care.
Do we have any other business? Okay, with that, we are hereby closing and adjourning the Thursday, June 15, 2023 meeting of the